Davis, and we are learning Maseches Pesachim Daf Ein Tes Amud Beis. The Gemara had discussed, starting from Ein Tes Amud Aleph at the bottom of the page, a machlokes between Rav Kahana and Rav. Rav had told us that if there is mechza mechza, if there's 50% of the Jewish people are Tameh and 50% of the Jewish people are Tahar, Rav had told us mechza mechza karov, that you hold of that's as if there is a majority and everybody is going to bring the Korban Pesach at Pesach Rishon in Nisan in the state of Tumah. And Rav Kahana had said that mechza is not like a rov, it's like a miut. How exactly does that work? So Rav Kahana told us mechza in a rov. The Taharim, the people that appear, are going to bring Pesach Barishon, and the Tamim are going to make Pesach Sheni. And then there was Rav Kahana option 2, the second understanding that the Gemara has of Rav Kahana, which is that the Taharim bring Pesach Rishon, and the Tamim don't have a Pesach at all. They don't bring either which way. That was the three opinions: one opinion of Rav and two understandings of Rav Kahana. That was what we discussed on until the first 3 lines of Ein Tes Amud Beis. And so 3 lines from the top of Ein Tes Amud Beis says the Gemara as follows. Tanan, we have a brayso that tells us as follows: Nitma kahal, if the kehila, if everybody becomes tamei, or ruba, or the majority, meaning more than 50%, or shayu kahanim tmeim, or the kahanim were tamei v'kahal taharim, the kahanim were tamei, the kahal was the people, the rest of the Jewish people were tar. Yasib tuma, they should do it in the state of tuma. Raiv, who the majority would bring the Korban Pesach if they are in a state of Tumah. Aval palga, but that seems to imply that 50-50, which does not have a mathematical majority, Loi Avdi Barishon wouldn't do it, wouldn't bring the Korban Pesach Barishon during Chodesh Nisan. And therefore, Kash the Rav. This is an argument against Rav, because Rav had said, mechza, that if you have 50-50, that is as if there is a majority that are Tamim, and therefore everybody would bring. And this brayso seems to indicate that that is not the case. Says the Gemara, Rav would respond to you as follows: Ruba of the Kula Betuma. If there is a Ruba, when there is a majority of the Kula Betuma, everybody brings in the state of Tumah. Palgal, but if there's 50-50, halala osim la'atzman, halala osim la'atzman, they would have to separate with regards to bringing Korban Pesach, meaning everybody brings Korban Pesach Barishon, but they don't join groups together. They would have different groups. Says the we'll see the Rashi in a moment. Okay, says the Gemara, this also makes solid sense. What's the what's the logic of it? Diktani, because later of that same brayso, Diktani Sefer, the rest of the brayso tells us nitma miatakal, that if only a minority of the kal became tamei, taharim osim es ha rishon. Those that are tahar are going to bring the Korban Pesach at the beginning in Chodesh Nisan. They're going to do Pesach Sheni. Miut to the Avdi B'Sheni. The miut are gonna be Avdi B'Sheni. They're gonna bring it in Chodesh Iyar. But if you have a 50-50, loy Avdi B'Rishon, yeah, you're not going to do it. The Avdi B'Rishon, and then they are going to bring Korban Pesach at the beginning. But halal osim la'atzman, and these ones are going to do by themselves. And these ones are going to do by themselves. Meaning, it seems to be very clear that this goes in accordance with Rav. Says the Gemara, Kasha Rav Kahana, but then this seems to be directly opposed now to Rav Kahana. Certainly, the sefer of the brayso disagrees with Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana would explain to you as follows: No, nitmu miata kahal. How do you understand the sefer that if the minority became tamei taharim osim esarishon and tamei osim esasheni, then the people that are tahar are going to bring first Pesach, and those that are tamei are going to bring second Pesach. Hapagul paga. If you have a 50-50, taharim osim esarishon, then those that are tahar are going to bring Pesach Rishon. Aval Tmeim, but the Tmeim einam osim lo esarishon lo esasheni. Then the Tmeim are not going to do either. Says the Gemara. Okay, cool. That makes good sense according to the second version of Rav Kahana. Remember, we have 2 versions of Rav Kahana. But according to the version of Rav Kahana that says that those that are tahar are going to do Pesach Rishon, and the Tmeim are going to do Pesach Sheni. That is exactly what the brayso had told us is what you do in a case of a miut. So how does that help you with regards to palga palga? It seems to be that that's only true of a meat and not true of palga palga of a 50-50. So this first version of Rav Kahana would tell you who hadin da fil palga palga. No, it's exactly the same din. Meat and palga palga is the same din. Why? Those that are Torah are going to do the first Pesach. Those that are Tameh are going to do the second. Hakal, and the fact that it says miut hakal, the minority, either the Tana Reisha, Rubai, Tana Nami Seifa, miuta. Since the Reisha says Raiv, says the majority, the Seifa says miut, but it's true that it wouldn't be, it just means not Raiv. Miut is the non-specific language here. Miut means the not Raiv, but it's true that it would be also of Mechza of a 50-50, because there also wouldn't be a majority. Okay. And so far, this brisa works according to all three opinions. It works according to Rav. It works according to Rav Kahana version 1 and version 2. Says the Gemara, Tani Kavase de Rav, Tani Kavase de Rav Kahana. Betray Lishne. You have brises that go in accordance with Rav, and you have brises that go in accordance with both versions of Rav Kahana. Tani Kavase de Rav, you have a brise that goes in accordance with Rav. How you saw the Jewish people were 50-50. These ones do for themselves. Those ones do for themselves. That is very clearly a Rav-oriented brisa. And you have a brisa that goes in accordance with Rav Kahana. You have a 50-50. Those that are tahar do the first Pesach, and those that are tamei do the second Pesach. And there's another brisa that says explicitly like the first like the second verse of Rav Kahana. If you have a 50-50, and the people that are Torah bring the first Pesach, and those that are tamei don't do either. Says Gemara, about the Rav Kahana, we have a kasha, and according to the version of Rav Kahana, it says if you have a 50-50, that people that are tahar are going to bring the first Pesach, and people that are tamei are not going to have Pesach at all. So we've explained all of these brises according to everybody, except we haven't explained how the Lishna Basra of Rav Kahana is going to explain that if you have a 50-50, you're going to have those that are Torah are going to bring first Pesach, those that are tamei are going to bring second Pesach, when that version of Rav Kahana says they don't bring second Pesach or first Pesach at all. So he says, no, I'll explain it to you as follows. Kegoin. There's a bogey, there's a wild card here that we haven't put into our calculus. And this is the opening to a discussion that we haven't yet had so far in Maseches Pesachim. Kegoin. For example, you have the Jewish people 50% tahar, mechza tmeim, and 50% tamei. V'nashim mashlimus letmeim. But the 50% that's tamei that 50% is because there are tamei women that are making up that number. And the question is, are women counted within the calculus of mechza al mechza? Vika Safar, and this version of Rav Kahana is clearly holding, Nashim Berishon Rishus, that women are not obligated in Korban Pesach. Women are certainly allowed to bring Korban Pesach, but they're not obligated in Korban Pesach. That's this version of Rav Kahana. Dal Nashim Itmeim, and therefore you deduct the women from the total number of people that are tamei. V'havu lehu tmeim miuta, and therefore those that are tamei are a minority. And that minority is going to be pushed off to Pesach Sheni. So you have a 50-50, but really you have a much larger amount of people that are obligated in Pesach. And that's why the miyat is going to be pushed to Pesach Sheni, because that's just the regular din. That if you have the majority is tahar, so the miyat is going to be tamei. The miyat is going to be pushed to Pesach Sheni, because you have the majority that are the majority are Torah and the minority is tamei, and therefore the minority is going to be pushed off to Pesach Sheni. Ule Rav, and according to Rav, Lishna Kama the Rav Kahana, Yidachal Pesach Sheni, Okay, and now according to Rav, and the first version of Rav Kahana that says that you split the groups, that first version of Rav Kahana. So Hadatanya, that which we have taught. Now let's challenge other brisa. How do you ever have a situation where you have a brisa that supports explicitly the second reading of Rav Kahana that says that the Tmeim aren't going to do not the Rishon, not the Sheni? How do they explain this? Says the Rav Metarisla, Rav explained this follow. You have the Jewish people of 50-50, with women being the bogey that brings you up to the amount that's tahar. So you have women that make up that 50%. So they're the number that are bringing up to the 50% that is tahar. Because and he holds nashim rishon chayva, that women are obligated in Pesach Rishon. So what do you have is 50% of the Jewish people is tahar, and women are making up that number, and that 50% of the Jewish people that tahar are going to bring come Pesach Barishon. Uvesheni rishus, but women are not obligated in bringing Pesach Sheni, and therefore any woman that was tameh for any woman that didn't bring, that wants to bring now Pesach Sheni. So what's the din? Barishon lo yavdi. They're not. They're tameh. They cannot bring. They cannot bring first Pesach. Dahavele miut, because they are because they're a minority. Meaning, women need to be counted because they are obligated. And if you only have a minority of people that are tahar at the beginning, meaning for Pesach Rishon, then you don't have everybody bringing instead of Tumah. Uvesheni le'avdi, and the second Pesach they're not going to bring. Why? Dal nashminayu, because now you have to subtract the amount of women from the total. V'havalahu palga palga, and now you have 50-50. Upalga le'avdi b'sheni, and now that 50-50 you aren't going to have for Pesach Sheni, meaning you have women that are obligated according to this version of according to Rav and according to the first version of Rav Kahana. You have 50-50 only by Pesach Sheni, and 50-50 by Pesach Sheni, you don't bring Pesach Sheni. But it's a more than, meaning it's 120%, let's say, for Pesach Rishon. And that's why you bring Pesach Rishon, but you don't bring Pesach Sheni. Says the Gemara, Rav Kahana, according to Rav Kahana, that holds Palga Nami Avda B'Sheni, he holds that if you have 50-50, that they are going to bring Pesach Sheni. This is how he explains it. If you have the Jewish people are half and half, and half of them are tahar, mechza tmem. V'nashim hashlimis taharim, and women make up the number that are tahar, because sovereignty holds nashim berishon chayva, that women are obligated for Pesach, but only Pesach Rishon, Mesheni Rishus, and women are not obligated Pesach Sheni. Berishon la'avdi, they shouldn't bring Pesach Rishon, davlu palgu palgu, because that's where you have a 50-50. You have meaning 50% of the Jewish people is tahar only as a result of the woman making up that 50%. And if you only have a 50-50, then you don't bring in a state of tumah. You don't bring it in the state of tumah for Pesach Rishon. That's according to version 1 of Rav Kahana. Why wouldn't they bring Pesach Sheni? Because now you subtract the woman from the total count. And now you have more than 50% being tameh of the people that are obligated to bring Pesach Sheni. And you never have a situation where the majority of the kehillah is going to bring Pesach Sheni because they were tameh. You're not going to have a majority of people now that were tameh for Pesach Rishon, so that are allowed to bring Pesach Sheni. And that's how the calculus works out. Meaning, do we count women as obligated for Pesach Rishon at all? So according to Rav and Rav Kahana version 1, yes. And according to Rav Kahana version 2, no. Everybody agrees that women are not obligated in Pesach Sheni. And the question is then what the calculus is to get everybody to their shittas. But either which way, all of these brises now make sense according to everybody. However, Rav Kahana had the Tanya. According to Rav Kahana, that which we taught, so how does this make sense? That which was the strongest brisa for Rav, that you're going to split it, that the Tmeim do for themselves and the Tmeim do for themselves. What's that case? Amalach Rav Kahana, says Rav Kahana, Tanaihi. This is a machlekes Tanaim. I concede that not all of the Tanaim agree with me. There's machlokes 50 that there's machlokes tanaim that whenever you have a 50-50, do we hold that that's a rov? Do we hold that that's not a rov? And that is all of the opinions all touched up. What comes out is that according to Rav, he can explain all of the brises according to him. According to Rav Kahana, he has to concede that there's machlokes in the tanaim here, meaning that there is at least an opinion that holds like Rav. And by Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with Gufa, understanding that din in its entirety when we discuss this by Hashem Yisbarach tomorrow. Hoping that everybody has a beautiful day, and we will see you